So we're here in Chicago, and Chicago is kind of unique in that it has, the Chicago Public School District has decided to make their goal college attainment for all of their students. Not just college access, but college attainment, which is really this remarkable goal because so much of getting a college degree is out of the traditional realm of the K-12 system. We at the Consortium on Chicago School Research have been working with the district to try to provide research support so they can even think about reaching this goal. One of the things we've done is to develop methods so that they can actually track their students, so that they can know all the way, tracking students from elementary school all the way through till 6 years after they start college and beyond, what's actually happening to students. You can start to identify the potholes, and that's the other way that we're trying to support them, is to find out what it is that's happening, why it is that some students are getting through and other students aren't. And when we first started doing this work, we started to put out some pretty shocking statistics. When we looked at the number of students that started 9th grade and then followed them 10 years later to see how many had obtained a 4-year college degree, we found out it was 8%, which was very shockingly low, and people said, what's happening with Chicago? So one thing is to know where we are. And Chicago, when we did the original research about 8 years ago, we said, okay, it was 8%. We've now updated that number to say it's 14%. So we've almost doubled the percentage of students who are getting a 4-year college degree within 10 years of starting 9th grade. But we still have a long way to go, given that 80% of students who are in high school, over 80%, actually want to expect to get a 4-year college degree. And there are a number of potholes along the way. I mean, one of the biggest potholes is just getting through high school, right? Getting that high school diploma. And a lot of times people think of this as a very low-level goal. Oh, we don't just care about getting kids through high school. We want them to leave, ready. And so, high school graduation has nothing to do with actually college readiness. But Chicago has largely seen that increase in getting 4-year college degrees by getting more students to graduate. The number one thing is getting students through high school and actually getting kids coming to class, doing their work, passing their classes, and engaged in school not only gets them through high school, but it actually gets them better prepared for college and for careers, right? So that's the number one thing, not seeing those as separate goals or even competing goals. A lot of people see them as competing. But it's actually, thinking about what kids need in order to succeed in high school. And then the second thing, a lot of people worry about kids coming out of high school not prepared, and they point to ACT scores, right, or SAT scores. But all the research says those aren't what matter. The real barrier to students for being able to succeed in college is actually low GPAs, low grades, meaning they're not engaged in their classes, working hard, coming every day, putting in effort all through the school year at different kinds of tasks. And so we have all of this effort to try to get kids' test scores up, and that's actually not what matters. It's actually getting them really engaged in learning and getting high grades, because those are by far the best indicators of success in college. And those, people say, oh, students are passing through, or they're just getting high grade, they're being, grades are being given out. We don't see evidence of that at all. We see a lot of students graduating with D averages, C averages, being minimally engaged in high school, and yet thinking that somehow their grades are going to improve when they get to college, which does not happen, right? So we need to get kids more engaged. That's the second pothole, and getting high grades. The third is enrolling in college, and there is a lot of emphasis on that. Chicago has, has put into place a FAFSA tracking system, a financial aid form tracking system, because we realize that a lot of students, almost all of the students in the city's school district are low income. They need financial aid. It's a very confusing, difficult form to fill out. So once the districts developed systems to make sure kids were filling that out, now we have almost all students who graduate filling out the FAFSA. That's one barrier. But as Catherine noted, there's also the college knowledge about what what college costs actually entail. And a lot of students with very strong qualifications are not enrolling in college because they think, oh, I need to save up money. Or they're enrolling in colleges that maybe don't give out a lot of financial aid, thinking that they're saving money by going to a cheaper college when it's actually costing them more. And then they're also basing their choices not on where they're most likely to succeed, but on factors such as convenience and costs and things like that. And one thing that's very clear from our research is that where you go to college matters a lot. You don't get those returns on your investment if you go to a college where nobody graduates. And a lot of the students in Chicago, for example, go to universities where institutional graduation rates are something like 20 to 30% or less than 50%. Most students go to a college where the rates are less than 50%. And what we find is even if you're a well-qualified student, if you go to a university where hardly anyone graduates, you are probably not going to graduate either, right? So we need to help students make choices where there is going to be a payoff for them. But beyond that, there aren't enough spots. There aren't enough slots in those kinds of institutions. So we also need to think about what higher ed needs to do. And I know you've had a lot of success. This is a major mind shift for post-secondary institutions to really focus not just on getting kids in, but getting kids through. And there are a lot of places, especially for low-income students, that they need support. We talked about financial aid for getting in, but students need to pay for college every single year that they're there. And that means doing that FAFSA every single year. And that means getting those scholarships, and that requires support. It means having clear pathways. It means not getting stuck in remedial course systems that oftentimes don't even flag the right kids or give the right kinds of support. So there's a lot of things that can happen from the post-secondary end too. And so again, if we want to get more low-income kids through, we have to pay attention to every piece in that chain, because any one link, it's not going to happen.